I have my coffee ready. It is 7:43 in the morning. I'm trying my best not to wake up my roommates, and we're gonna be talking about art history. Yeah, today, with my lovely opportunity to talk about art history, we're gonna be talking about a topic that I think is pretty cool, honestly. Like, it's not very like a major iconic moment, but it was definitely important kind of thing. And that topic is going to be Contrapposto. And you might be asking, like, what's that? So basically, by definition, Contrapposto is an Italian term that means counterpoise. It is used in the visual arts to describe a human figure standing with most of its weight on one foot, so that shoulders and arms twist off axis from the hips and legs in the actual plane. So basically what that means is that, like, okay, try to imagine like you're waiting at the bus stop. Like, you're standing, like you have to stand, like all the chairs were taken, it's super packed, like everyone's waiting, so you're kind of tired, so you want to lean on like the metal thing with the ad, you know, like the picture board or whatever. Like, you're just leaning on it, just waiting for the bus, minding your own business, and like just imagine like the way your body looks like when you're leaning. Like, you probably have all your weight on one side, whatever side you're leaning on. You might be using your phone, so your arm is like bent, like you're just looking at your phone like that. Or like you might be like calling or listening to music, so you're just leaning, having a moment. And that's basically what Contrapposto is. Like, but putting that into like a sculpture. And it's actually like, even though you might think about it, you're like, okay, like that's just how it's supposed to look like. It actually took a long time for it to evolve to like how that is today, kind of thing. And as the definition states, how it's an Italian term, it evolved and became like known in the Italian Renaissance. But prior to the Italian Renaissance, it was actually discovered way back in the 5th century, like in the early findings. And you can see how like some sculptures carried the contrapposto like trait of like having like human, like natural like positions, I guess. And the most like notable sculpture having that back in the 5th century was the Kritos boy, and also I'm gonna butcher this name, but the Polykletos Doryphorus. We're just gonna say Doryphorus. I don't even know if that's right. But yeah, mainly talking about the Doryphorus though. As you can tell in the picture, like the statue of the man, like starting with the legs, like you can tell that most of his weight is on his left leg, because the right one is like behind. Like it's as if he's like walking towards you. Like, that's how the leg looks. And then one of his arms is bent, like it looks like he's like on a jog or whatever. But yeah. And then like from this you can tell that like, oh, you know, it looks like he's walking towards me. And like, it's kind of crazy how you're able to sculpt like a moment in time, but you can tell like what the action is. And it was kind of like groundbreaking, and like kind of a big deal, honestly, because prior to the Doryphorus sculpture it stemmed from the creation in the Archaic period, which was like the origins of it, kind of thing. And the sculptures that were the grands for the Doryphorus was the Archaic Koros and the Egyptian like period, which had the King Menkaura and Queen, just for an example, which was made in 2540 to 2530 BCE. But yeah, so in those sculptures, like being like the original like just like human figure sculptures, you can tell that like it looks very kind of like not real. Like human, like people don't look like that, like when they stand. Like it looks very like seem very like soldiery, like military kind of moment. Like they're very boxed, like the very rectangular, like they look perfect, like they don't look real at all, you know. And the reason behind this was because artists and sculptors during this time was they were using more of like a geometric formula for making these like these figures. And like clearly you can tell with like the shoulders, they look very broad, and then from like the hip section, they look very square, and then the arms look perfectly aligned with their body, and the legs look also like very straight. And comparing to the Dory Forest sculpture, it looks more like realistic, it looks more natural, like I feel like I can make that pose kind of thing, like, and I can like keep that pose for a long time, compared to the archaic chorus. I feel like if I stand in that position for a long time, I feel like it'd be uncomfortable, you know? So like being able to transition from this like boxed, square, perfect mold to the natural like human figure was kind of like a big deal. And more of like a kind of a small fun fact is that comparing from the archaic chorus to the Dory Forest sculpture, it had a transition from having the famous archaic smile, which was kind of like it kind of felt like a one size fit all kind of moment for most sculptures made during the archaic period, where like all the faces would have a certain type of smile where it would look like the same, like they all looked like happy and like kind of like fake and like kind of scary, honestly. But the reason behind this was because it kind of showed what you should look like, kind of thing. Like it showed like your well-being, it showed like you had good health, which is like, okay, work. But for the Dory Forest sculpture, they went more of like a natural, like comparing it with like how the body looks natural and like human, they wanted the face to look more like realistic as well. So they went for like a more like how to explain, just not bad. It just looks like if I were to look at something and like I was caught off guard or something, you know? So it's just like seeing these like drastic changes is kind of cool. So after discussing that, we can go back to the Italian Renaissance and we can talk about the sculptures made during that time. And the first sculpture that was most known for using Contrapposto was created by a man named Nanni di Banco, and his creation in St. Philip. And in St. Philip, you can clearly, like, not clearly, honestly, like, it's kind of hard to tell, but in his arms, you can tell, like, they don't have that box figure. They have, like, the natural kind of look. Like, it looks like he is, I don't know, scratching his leg, or, like, he's trying to fix the drape. Maybe it's, like, uncomfortable. And then in the legs, like, because of, like, the robes and or drapes he's wearing, it's kind of hard to tell. But it looks like his right leg is bent. Or no, his left leg is bent. And the right leg is carrying all the weight. And then, like, his face isn't looking directly towards you. It's more of, like, he's having emotion. He's like in awe. Or not, or, like, more kind of, like, scared, like, what he's looking at, or confused. So it's, like, you can tell that there's some emotion in his face, which is, like, pretty good, pretty cool. And then another notable artist using Contrapposto was Donatello, and then he created the bronze statue of David. And in this one, you can clearly tell, like, you can really see it's, like, more accentuated, like, the use. Like, he looks very, like, I don't know, the hand makes it look like really sassy, and, like, his leg, he's like, and what about it? Like, what are you looking at? Like, he has a sword, he's ready to fight and everything, he has a cute hat on. But yeah, it's just, like, you can tell in his face too, like, he's, like, giving, like a mugshot kind of moment. He's like, you know, like, he's like, fight me, bet. And then, also Raphael also was known for using Contrapposto in his work, and with the better understanding of, like, human anatomy and, like, the human body during the Italian Renaissance, they were able to make more, like, detailed work, like, in the muscles of the arms, the legs, the torso, like the abdominal area. And so Raphael was also known for doing that, but probably the most like famous, like iconic, like if you saw it, you know what it is kind of moment was by Mr. Michelangelo and his sculpture of David. And in this sculpture, you can clearly tell as well, like the use of contrapposto, like he's leaning, putting all his weight on his left leg, his right leg is bent. With his right hand, it looks like he's holding something on his shoulder as well. I don't know, is it gonna be like a towel? I think there's a side picture of it. I just don't have it. But yeah, and then his left hand is just like, it's just casually like, it's just dangling, like he's not holding it at all, he's just letting it be there. And then as well, like talking about like, it's more, there's a lot more detail, it's more complex, it's more elaborate with it. Like you can see the veins, you can see like clearly his knees. Like I thought that was really cool how like there's a lot more detail for like the knee cap or the knee bone, or yeah. And then like you can see like his abdominal area, like you can see the muscles more, you can see like the V-line or whatever, the hip area. And then there's a lot of detail in the hair, the way he's looking, like he's having like a side profile kind of moment, and then like the collarbone and everything. So yeah, just like it's kind of like you can tell it's a person that, I mean, you can tell before it was a person, but it kind of didn't really have the like human features. But in Michelangelo's statue of David, you can clearly tell like all this, like the small details, like the ears, the nose, the eyes, the eyebrows. But yeah, it was proven that contrapposto was like iconic and revolutionary in the neoclassical period in the 19th century because it like blew up. Like everyone, not everyone, but like a lot of people were using that style. And then like one artist in particular that was using it was Antonio Canova, and he created the Three Graces in 1815 to 17. And then in this particular sculpture, like it looks like three women like naked, they're holding drapes to cover up their like areas. You can tell like the way they're standing, it looks like they're like talking to one another, like they look excited, like they're talking, and a lot more complex in compared to in Michelangelo's sculpture of David. Like it looks like they're talking to one another, like being able to see it and being able to recognize that is kind of like, it's kind of a big deal, honestly. Like being able to sculpt that motion in time into like a work. And then there's a lot, again, with the detail, like you can see the hair, you can see like the muscles, like the legs, the feet, everything. But yeah, basically that's what contrapposto is, and like that's why it's like, it's pretty important, honestly. Like without it, like everyone's gonna be looking like rag dolls from like the dollar store. Like no one wants to look like that. Everyone looks like they're on Vogue. Like even Michelangelo's on Vogue, like that. But yeah, that's why contrapposto was so important. And I don't know, I just thought it was super interesting, and I was really excited to talk about it. So yeah, that concludes the lesson on art history today.